Hello, everyone. This is the Cohn Zone. We're the Cohns. I'm Grant. That's my dad, Lowell. And we have a lot of bets to square, not to really square up on, but to update. Bets I'm losing. Starting with the big bet. Who's going to start week one? My dad's been steadfast that it was going to be and is going to be Jimmy Garoppolo. And I've been in the other camp, Trey Lance. Now Trey Lance has a broken finger. It's not looking so good. How confident are you feeling at this time, Dad? Talk to me about confidence.
I want to tell you, I'm so confident. I'm already tasting the wine.
Yeah,
I can. It has a nice bouquet.
yes.
It is good on the mid palate. It has a little acidity going down,
Yeah.
which I like, and it has a long finish. So I know you're going to pick me a good bottle, and I'm feeling so confident. I'm already tasting it. Now I'm also handing you a glass because we drink it together.
Yeah, I'm already thinking like, am I going to go to Whole Foods or Kermit Lynch? Am I going to go online? I'm thinking I lost. So let me just say,
you don't know what happens. You don't.
I don't know.
I don't like defeatism. I don't like
Jimmy could sprain his toe in a practice. But let me just
say, hold on.
Oh, go ahead.
Let me say why I think I feel confident about the bet. I have not already won the bet. I feel confident because he broke his finger. That's always a good sign from me.
Yeah, it's
not for him or the team,
news.
but for me in the all important bet. So there's that. In addition, I don't think Shanahan gave him enough stuff to do with the big guys.
Yeah.
And I think he's really sort of gotten Jimmy, whatever Jimmy is, he's gotten Jimmy more ready to start game number one in Detroit than he has Trey Lance. That's my feeling.
I guess I should have seen this coming. I mean, the signs were there. Jimmy got 95% of the reps with the starters in camp. That was a good sign for him. And then when they did let Trey Lance play in the preseason, they made him play Jimmy's game. It was essentially like, if you're going to take Jimmy's job, you got to play Jimmy's game.
Good.
And you got to do it with the backups. And, if I had known that was going to be the competition, I'd say, well, he's going to lose that. Trey Lance the only way he's going to play better than Jimmy is if he can play a totally different style, which is the style I guess he'll play when he gets in the regular season. So when it was clear that he took those 4 sacks in the first preseason game and that's what they wanted to do, it was over. And I think in retrospect, I don't think Kyle ever really wanted Trey Lance to start week one. I think he's had a plan ever since they got him. I don't know why they drafted Trey Lance or if he was their first choice, but since they got him, I think they felt he's not ready. And they pretty much didn't give him a chance to prove otherwise, or maybe he's not ready. So, yeah, I should have seen this one coming. You are a very wise journalist, Dad.
Well, here's the thing. I'm considerably older than you are, as I'm the father and you're the son.
It's true.
I've been through these scenarios really a lot of times, and I think coaches generally go with the more conservative choice, although that's not what's happening in New England, and we could talk about that later in another segment. But yeah. I think that's the way it goes. Now, again, Kyle Shanahan could really fool us, and you could be tasting this wonderful wine with a great bouquet and all of that. Like Dietmar Osterman.
Shout out Dietmar Osterman.
Yeah.
Search for him on
guy
YouTube.
From Long Island.
Yeah.
If you don't know, Dietmar Osterman, the regular guy from Long Island, has a wine blog. I think I'm one of the 3 or 4 people in America who watches it. I love it. He always talks about Napa Valley Cabernets every week, and I watch Dietmar, and Iggy does too with me.
Yeah, he's great. Dietmar, we love you. So, yeah, I feel a little disappointed that it went down like this. I think the main reason that Kyle Shanahan never gave Trey Lance the shot that he deserved is because he watches our show, and he wanted you to win this bet, Dan. I think that was the most important factor in this decision. So, good for you and good for Kyle. And thanks for watching.
I don't think that's really the reason. I think Kyle is not completely sold on Trey Lance as a starter right now. I do think he's sold on him as the franchise quarterback. I do.
Yeah.
But not ready for prime time in 2 weeks. Now, less than 2 weeks. That's what I think. It doesn't mean this is a vote of confidence for Jimmy Garoppolo. It means it's a vote of not ready for the rookie.
Fair. Here's what I think, and I don't have much to – here's what I think and why. I believe the reports from Mike Silver, Adam Schefter, Ian Rappaport that Mac Jones was the target when the 49ers initially moved up. He's looking really good so far. Maybe that will end up being the correct choice. But I think that's who they wanted. I think the fan base revolted. And I don't know if Kyle Shanahan changed his mind because of the backlash or if Jed York said, we're not going this route. But when they had that pre-draft press conference 4 days before the draft, Kyle Shanahan seemed incensed, and he kept saying, I need a starting quarterback. I need a starting quarterback. Well, they didn't draft one. They drafted a project, and they know it. So I'm that's what I feel, is that maybe it was the second choice for Kyle, and he's locked in that this is the best way to develop Trey Lance slowly because he's just not ready. Well, we'll see.
You know, Iggy, it would be nice someday to know the real story, what went on.
Wonderful.
There. The backstory, because we don't know it. Maybe a few people do know it. We certainly don't know the backstory. I'll tell you one thing, though. There is no way in life that Kyle Shanahan went for Trey Lance because the fan base wanted it. No coach would do that. In the organization, there must have been a split.
Yes.
But I don't think he would care about the fan base. And I wouldn't respect him, frankly, if he did. He's the expert.
No question. I think the reports from Silver and in particular was that it was split. That the front office liked Lance, that Kyle liked Mac Jones, and I don't know how. I think Kyle liked Trey Lance too. But I think if they had drafted Mac Jones, Jones would be the starter right now, and Kyle would have pushed for it. But they got Trey Lance, and I think Kyle just feels this kid needs a different learning trajectory. Development trajectory.
And given that, it seems fair.
Yeah.
It seems fair to me. And as I say, I'm really looking for. I mean, even seeing the label of the wine bottle. But you know, things change. Jimmy could hurt his pinky.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, let's talk about this 2-quarterback system. It's not like Trey Lance will get a series here and there. They could be going on and off the field every other play. That's what it looked like against the Raiders. Did you like it? What do you think?
Okay, I want to say something before I want to get into it, but we don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah,
I think it's possible that Kyle Shanahan was experimenting with quarterback in, quarterback out, all of that, or it's possible he was screwing with the league.
Yeah, why not? Why not?
Why not? Yeah, and especially screwing with the Detroit Lions.
It's totally in character for him.
Absolutely. You know, I'm going to mess with you. So you don't even know what to do. So we don't know that he's going to do that.
And now you don't even know if Lance is going to play. They're really in the dark over there in Detroit.
That's right.
Yeah.
So let's assume Lance can play. I still believe Jimmy will be the predominant quarterback unless bad Jimmy really takes over. And they will bring in Trey Lance for certain packages. But let's go with the scenario 2 quarterbacks in and out, like we saw on Sunday. Here's what I want to say about it. What the hell? I'm open-minded. I mean, I've never seen it before. Certainly, I was around the game for 40 years and never saw it, but that doesn't mean that is the way things should go, the way I saw it. So I'm saying I do believe Kyle Shanahan is a shifty guy, a clever guy, in his own way, whimsical. He might very well do that. And I think it would really confuse what I consider a pretty inexperienced Detroit coaching staff.
You know, I think it might be the best thing to do week 1. I think it might be the best thing to do in the short term, but I don't like it long term. The way I look at it is if Jimmy Garoppolo had done something really good this offseason, I could see it. If he looked like he was improving, you could say, well, he's not even 30 years old yet. Let's not write him off. He's had some injuries. He's improving. Trey Lance has his faults, no question, and he's really young. Jimmy deserves a chance to keep proving himself and improving, but I don't see that from him. I see the same Jimmy making the same mistakes, throwing a lot of interceptions. So while Trey Lance may be remedial in the pocket, he's not going to improve running the zone read. And I don't think that having him play like the Taysom Hill role in an offense really helps his development at all. So I think what this does is just delay it. And I think his development is the most important thing for this franchise. If they think they're going to go somewhere with the 2-quarterback system this year, I mean, maybe Kyle could pull it off, but no one's ever done that. I think if you got a 2-quarterback system, you're probably not a contender. And I just feel like if Jimmy Garoppolo is plateauing, just let Trey learn because he should be able to improve the more time he gets.
You made a point to me the other day when we were chatting on the phone, which I'd like to explore again. You said, Dad, if they have 2 quarterbacks, they have no quarterback. Could you explain that? Yeah,
I mean, I think what they're trying to say here is they're playing 2 quarterbacks because they're both so great. But I don't see it that way. I think they're playing two quarterbacks because they're dissatisfied with both of them. To me, everything Jimmy Garoppolo has shown this offseason reinforces the trade up to number 3. He's only reinforced that drastic move to get a replacement. And Trey Lance, the hoops they put up for him, which I thought were very difficult, he didn't really go through very well or at all. So now you got two quarterbacks they're dissatisfied with, and it seems like you got two, like a committee of backups, not a committee of starters. I hate to be, but that's how I see it.
I want to say something. I'm defending, because that's my role today, to defend the two quarterback system. It feels like trying to sell you a used Buick.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm trying.
It's like, but Kyle Shanahan put the Buick together. I know this has never worked, but this is a project of a master. Okay, well, I'm open-minded. It might be really fun, but I just feel like it's just delaying the development of the most important player in the franchise. And my only question is, why is this the best way to develop Trey? And isn't that the most important thing?
Okay, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Has Kyle been effective so far at developing Trey?
I don't think so.
Why?
I mean, he's been focusing Trey on working on his weaknesses. That's one way to do it. I don't think he's improved much in the pocket since he's been here. I don't think he's become a more confident quarterback. I think he's actually losing confidence as he gets more exposed to playing time. And then in this recent dress rehearsal, his playing time with the starters was handing off. I don't think that's really, it doesn't show that you're confident in him. It shows, we don't trust you to throw the ball. And it's not improving him. When he does get to throw, it's with backups who can't block for him or catch his passes. I felt like a lot of what he did this offseason was a waste of time.
I would have to agree with you that it didn't seem like there was an urgency to develop him. And Iggy, I guess we're criticizing Kyle now, which is not infrequent with us. Part of the reason that Trey Lance got hurt is because of how Kyle Shanahan has used him. Am I correct?
Yeah, I mean, when I questioned Kyle after the first preseason game, when Lance got sacked 4 times in one half in a preseason game, and said, why couldn't you have, rolled him out of the pocket more? And he said, because that's what we wanted to do. I mean, the reason I asked is I'm saying you're going to get him hurt. This is football. Even if the game doesn't count, those guys can't block. You're going to get him hurt in games that don't count while you're trying to get him to work on his weaknesses. Was it worth it? I would say no. And I thought that answer was kind of flippant and not addressing what ended up happening 2 weeks later.
So let's be real clear about this. You asked a pertinent question. He blew you off.
Yes.
I used the adjective snotty.
Yes.
Snotty. And your question turns out to be relevant. You were concerned that the kid would get hurt not rolling out and playing behind backups. Their backup offensive line is really not that good. And in fact, he has been hurt. Mm-hmm. He has a broken finger. He's going to miss at least 7 days. Yep. We don't know what the effect will be. And I may very well win the bet on default because he may not be game ready in Detroit, which is now fewer than 2 weeks away, because Kyle didn't think deeply about the fair question that you asked him and didn't think deeply when he was alone and say, look, I don't want to get this kid hurt in the preseason. Oops, now I did.
Oops, now I did. Oh, that's football. Tough luck. It's like you saw that he was really struggling in the pocket. I mean, he was out of his depth. You saw that they couldn't block for him, and you saw that his receivers were dropping his balls. Get him the hell out of the pocket. You drafted him because he's so good at play action, not because just of the zone read. That's part of it, but he's so good under center, turning his back, rolling left and right, throwing on the run. It's an element you don't have with Jimmy Garoppolo. And so instead of letting him show those things and actually building confidence, winning over the team, taking the job, you make him do all the stuff he's not good at. And, oh my God, he gets hurt. Now, it's not a serious injury, we don't think, but this is what happens. It was predictable.
Also, it makes the kid feel bad about himself.
Yeah, I'm not good enough.
To me, when I was a teacher, I always tried to boost people up. We would talk about things they needed to improve in their writing, but it was always, this is very promising. Let's do these 1,000 things to your 2-page story. Yes. And it was always positive. And I I learned that way. I think it's how people learn. If you can encourage them, and all he did was to sort of bring him down, saying, you know what it was like, Iggy, when I saw Trey Lance playing, he was just handing the ball off. He looked to me like a turnstile at the New York subway. You go through a turnstile,
turn in circles.
Yeah, you went all of that.
That's what you're ready for, Trey. That's what I think of you.
And if I use a boxing analogy, which I often do, it's like having a fighter, one hand tied behind his back.
For the entire preseason, Trey, you can't do this, this, and this. You have to play Jimmy Garoppolo style of football with the backups and be better than him.
And not get hurt.
Yeah, so it's like, oh, you got a big left hook. You can't throw that. You can't. You got to go only right hand, crosses, and it was like, and you can play southpaw. You can throw a southpaw jab, but that's it. And you got to be better than this guy who can use both his hands. That doesn't make any sense to me.
That's what happened.
But this is what Kyle does. I think what he likes to do is make a decision too early, not let it play out. Instead of saying, you know what, I don't know what's going to happen. Let's see what happens, and I'll make the decision at the end. He comes into training camp saying, well, Jimmy's better than him. There's no way Lance is going to be ready. So I don't even need to see it. I know already. I don't even need to see it. So we're going to give Jimmy all the reps with the starters. And when Lance does play with the starters, we'll let him run. Well, he'll be Taysom Hill. And then next year, I've decided that's when he'll be ready because I know. That's my
Are you saying that you think in fundamentally important ways, Kyle Shanahan is not open-minded?
Yes. And this is why I feel like he's a great member of a team. He's a great member of a franchise. He's such an asset. His system is fantastic. Every team wants that system. I don't see him as a front man in a lot of ways. I'm sorry. Let's prove me wrong, Kyle. Let's hear 5. I got one more thing I want to say. This thing with Josh Rosen is small, but Josh Rosen was awful here and seemed depressed. He leaves, signs with Atlanta, is there for 1 week, plays really well, makes a team. Their coach over there revived Ryan Tannehill's career. That's a skill. Jim Harbaugh used to pump up his quarterback's confidence. Kyle has a great system, but I don't know if he has that skill that other people have. So we'll see.
Which what we called before is mentoring.
Mentoring. This is his
Mentoring. Yeah. You're dealing with young men sometimes in their early 20s. Well,
21.
Trey Lance is 21.
21.
And part of what I've said is my professor at Stanford said, directing a doctoral dissertation, in this case, developing a quarterback, is 90% psychological handholding.
Right.
Now,
Kyle refused to do that.
And maybe Mike never held his hand psychologically. Right. I can tell you this, Iggy, my dad held my hand. Right. I held your hand.
Well, I think it's fair to say that you model your mentoring after your mentors. I do. It's your style. And Kyle's mentors were his dad, Gary Kubiak, John Gruden. Gruden doesn't give psychological handholding. In fact, one of our main issues with John Gruden is exactly what we're talking about.
Yes.
Relentless negativity.
And yelling. He yells at people.
Yeah, Kyle curses.
I've never been around.
He doesn't yell, I don't think, but I know he curses a lot. And it's, you got to take it.
I curse a lot, and not on
maybe Bill Walsh did too. What the F? What is this? What do you think? Yeah, that kind of stuff.
We hated that people to know it, but man, he did curse a lot, which was one of the most attractive. He said the F word just about every sentence, and I loved him for it.
Yeah. Okay, so that's our take on. We got more to say about Kyle, but that's it with this in regards to Trey Lance's development. Trent says, "Lowell, what's your take on the spreadsheet? Do you know what he's talking about?"
What?
What's your take on the spreadsheet? The infamous spreadsheet from forget about it. If you don't know, forget about it.
Is it from another writer?
Yeah.
I have no interest.
No interest. How about that?
No interest.
Paco Simbad says, how much better would this team be with Kyle as OC and Saleh as head coach?
Boy, that's a fantastic question.
Yeah.
You know what? I think it would be better.
Yeah, I can't say that it's never crossed my mind. I always felt that Robert Saleh was such an asset that he was essentially doing a lot of leadership roles from behind and not taking credit for it. Letting Kyle be the front man, but filling in all the gaps. And now he's gone. So it'll be interesting because he has such a good sense for decision making. He's so mature. I don't know if his system is as good as Kyle's, but he might be. I think he's a natural leader in every way. Good question. Be interesting. Hey, if things go bad here, let's say things go bad here and Kyle has a couple more losing seasons, gets fired, and everyone says, he's just not head coach material. He's a coordinator. He can go back and meet up with Saleh in New York.
Yeah, he could be the Jets coordinator.
He could be
Wouldn't
the
that
Jets
be
coordinator. Wouldn't that be something? Yeah, I think that would be a good fit for him. All right, let's keep talking about him though. The finger.
Oh, the finger.
You want
Okay,
to go?
I'd like
Please.
be the front man on this.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the finger.
Yeah.
I was listening when they had Kyle on Monday. They had a conference call. I don't listen to these conference calls, but Iggy put up part of it on his YouTube, and I listened. So I'm going to slow down because there's so much, as we used to say in creative writing classes, there's so much to unpack here.
Yeah.
He says on the phone that Trey Lance hurt a finger. I'm paraphrasing, but I'm pretty close. Matty Mayoko.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't think he said that yet, or maybe said he has a chip, whatever. Chipperoo. So Matty Mayoko, the senior person on the beat, and a dear friend of Iggy and me, dear friend, close friend, asked the correct question of a journalist: which finger?
Yeah.
He's not asking about the sex life.
No.
He's not asking a wrong question.
No.
Oh, he hurt a finger. What
Which
finger?
one?
So the coach says, I don't want to tell you what finger. Okay. And then he says, it's one of 5. Yep. Okay. First of all, he says, I don't want to tell you what finger. I'm thinking, what the hell difference does it make how in any way could he compromise his team by telling what finger it is?
Everyone knows what finger it is too. It's the index finger. He was holding it on television. It's the index finger.
He grabbed it. So Matty asks, is it a thumb? And he says, I don't want to tell you. So, okay, that was a stupid answer. One I don't respect him for, but then he gets worse. Then he says, it's one of 5, which, again, I've used earlier and other times the adjective about him, snotty. He's snotty like a teenager.
Like when he answered me, that's what we wanted. That's what we wanted to do. Snotty, dismissive. Yeah.
So what I say is, what need was there to be snotty to Matty Mayoko?
Right.
Matty is a very nice person. He's fabulous at what he does. He's extremely respectful.
He was being professional.
And then he says, it's one of 5. It's a way of saying, screw you, Matty.
Yeah.
And what I felt, it's one of 5. You know what? I'd like to give you one of my of the fingers when you talk like that. Yeah. I don't like it. And I'm going to say 2 other things. Had I been there, and this
is true. This is true.
Had I been there, I would have stopped the press conference and I would have said, why did you say that about the 5 fingers?
Yep.
Why'd you say it?
Yeah.
And he would have looked at me like, whatever. Yeah. And what are you talking about? I say there was no need to be rude. It was a professional question. You could answer it or not. I think it's appropriate to answer it. It won't hurt your team at all. But to say it's one of 5, I think it's immature, adolescent, and snotty. And I think you need to think about how you present yourself. And then if he wants to ask why, which he wouldn't, but I'm going to tell why. Everybody listening and watching may think, oh, who cares about how he treats journalists? Sure, we suck. That's fine.
Yeah.
But people should care how he represents his team.
Yep.
Again, the head coach is the CEO of the team.
Yep.
The chief executive officer, he presents himself. He presents the team every single day.
Yeah.
And I'm going to mention, of course, Bill Walsh was the best. He looked like a U.S. Senator.
Yeah.
Seifert, Mariucci, Dennis Erickson.
Yeah.
These people, no matter what you thought of them as coaches, they represented the team in a professional, win with class or lose with class way. And there you have a teenager come in and say, but it's one of 5 fingers. Hey, buddy, don't talk to me like that. Don't treat me like a baby. You answer a question or say why you won't answer it. You represent the team better than that. Or you have a losing season, you're going to be out on your ass because you don't know how to represent your team. That's how I feel about him. Iggy, I've never met him and I don't like him.
Here's how you know it's unprofessional. John Lynch would never answer a question that way.
Good for you.
Robert Saleh would never answer a question that way. D'Amico Ryans would never answer a question that way. And not because they love us. It's beneath them. It's unprofessional. It's beneath him. And Kyle, I mean, it's beneath Jed York at this point. Jed used to be snotty like that. He's real. He's figured it out. He's the same age as Kyle. Kyle, it makes you look bad. It makes the 40. It makes the 49ers look bad. That's what it is, dude.
They have a snotty teenager who's the CEO. Yep. And you're right about Jed. Jed used to be a pain, but Jed has learned. He's learned to
he's taking the lead from Lynch.
Iggy, this is a rare franchise.
Yeah.
This is a treasure of the Bay Area.
Yeah.
And Jed has learned how to protect this treasure. This kid hasn't.
No.
It's one of 5 fingers. Don't talk to me like that. And don't represent the 49ers. The Joe Montana, Steve Young. Don't represent them like that. No. Get your crap together.
Yeah. Francis Berry, Francis says you two are nuts. Yeah, we are just a little nuts. Good to see you. We love you, Francis.
He says we're nuts?
Yeah, we're nuts.
Don't tell me I'm nuts, Francis. You hurt my feelings.
Okay, Lawrence brings something up that I forgot I want to talk about. I'm sure you all covered this, but how crazy to hear Mac Jones send Cam to free agency. One of the things we wanted to talk about with, handling 2-quarterback system, is this the best way to develop Trey Lance? Another thing I wanted to say about why I don't like the 2-quarterback system, you constantly have Trey Lance looking over his shoulder. Constantly. Oh, the pass was a little wobbly. Am I out? I missed one throw. Am I out? Yes. As opposed to Mac Jones, who's playing for the best head coach of his generation, who is now getting a full vote of confidence from Bill Belichick. That goes a long way. Bill Belichick says, I like you. You're good. You're my quarterback. I don't even want you thinking about Cam Newton. Go. Kyle's like, I'm not satisfied. That's a clear difference.
And also, Kyle can't make up his mind.
Can't make up his mind. Bill did.
Belichick made up his mind.
Yeah.
He, Kyle can't make up his mind. And again, you've made the point. You think he can't make up his mind between 2 really good quarterbacks. I think the issue is he can't make up his mind between 2 compromised quarterbacks.
Yep, that's right.
And the reason the young one is compromised, he didn't develop him.
That's right. That's right. So thank you, Lawrence. All right, we have more we want to talk about. The Cracker Jacks.
Oh, Cracker Jacks.
This is the side bet we have because I can't keep losing bottles of wine because I pick losers. Somehow. I think that's why I don't gamble in real life, because I just pick the loser every time. So we picked, this is about Nick Bosa's knee. I was just so skeptical about him, and I didn't think he was going to play week 1. And you're like, it's going to play week 1. And we now have, so now you're going to get a real nice bottle of wine, and we're going to pair it with some really, really gourmet Cracker Jacks.
I think it's, I don't think anyone's really had some great wine with Cracker Jacks. We're going to have a blast, Iggy. And I want to say, but I get the little toy.
Oh, of course. Absolutely. No, you get the majority of the Cracker Jacks, and I'll have like 1 glass of the bottle, but not 2. I didn't earn that. And you'll have most of the Cracker Jacks too. I'll have a taste.
And the bet is, I say Bosa starts whenever the defense goes on the field. He is with the starting defense. And Iggy sort of thought no.
Yeah, I want to say something real quick. Good for Nick. Good for the 49ers. And one thing that they have going in their favor, I've been very negative. I think I'm a little negative about this team sometimes, but I got something positive to say. Throughout the beginning portion of the offseason, we made a big stink about injuries. We talked about how they needed to overhaul their entire training camp. I talked to Dr. Nirav Pandya, who had a lot of things to say. They didn't have any season-ending injuries in camp. They're basically 100% healthy going into the season. Good for them. That's a big step.
Okay, and let's say this. Good for Kyle.
Good for Kyle.
I've been really going after Kyle.
Yeah.
Just a few minutes ago. This was wonderful what he did.
Yeah.
And you know what it shows, Iggy? He can learn.
It does show he can learn. Yes, it showed maturity.
Yes, yeah. Maturity is being able to look yourself in the mirror and say, I need to change something. I don't double down. And he was able to mature there. Maybe he can mature in the way he presents himself to the world.
That'd be great. Maybe he can. Who's to say he can't? Anyway, Cracker Jacks, Nick Bosa, all in your favor right now. Let's see how long they stay healthy. But that's neither here nor there. You get I got to start making some other bets that I win. I have to think about hard with some bets I can win.
I got another question for you.
Sure.
Can you say another positive thing about the 49ers at this moment?
Yeah. Let's put it. Okay, so they're healthy, and which means their defense looks terrific. and their running game looks terrific. So theoretically, even if they do have two quarterbacks who are like glorified backups at this point, they have the best possible circumstances you could imagine. Great defense, great running game. You don't have to be the engine of the team. Hand off. Trey, it's your turn to hand off. Jimmy, I like the way your handoff looked. That was a great handoff, Jimmy. I want to say the left hand, it was perfect. Now, Trey, I'll do the handoff that he did. A lot of hands off. I think that they can be really good and make things. I guess what Kyle would say is, it is the preseason. I am trying to make them work on their weaknesses. When it gets to the season, there's going to be some easy freaking passes that Kyle Shanahan schemes up. He's not going to be putting the game in either guy's arm. It's going to be handoff, you hand off, now you run. I think. So that's good.
I also think we'll see Trey Lance actually run.
I think so too. And it's going to be a lot of fun.
It's going to be, I got to tell you, Iggy, it's going to be a blast. If I were a defensive coordinator at Detroit, I would have a nervous stomach right now.
Yes.
I would.
Yes.
I'd be living on Pepsid because I think Kyle is going to make them look like a joke.
Yeah, and I think what's that's cool about this is, look, I'm not comparing Jimmy Garoppolo to Joe Montana and Trey Lance to Steve Young, but this is the biggest quarterback controversy the Niners have had since then.
Yeah,
and they're kind of similar in skill sets in that, Garoppolo's the one with the accuracy and Trey's the one who runs around. Imagine if there was a time in the late 80s or early 90s where they both played and they would split off. They would go in and out, and it worked. That would have been kind of fun to see. The year where they were both the quarterback and split the job. So it could be fun. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, well, again, Bill never thought of it that way. I've told this before, and I know this for a fact. Bill was really intrigued by Steve.
Right. Of course.
And this is when Joe was really good.
Yes.
And he had a meeting of his coaches and said, I'm considering trading Joe Montana and starting Steve Young. I know this for a fact. And
I'm considering it.
Bill
you make the call.
Everybody who agrees with me, raise your hand. And I mean, there were some serious people in there, Holmgren and McKittrick. No one raised his hand.
That's funny.
And Bill could never pull the trigger, but he called up Al Davis and he said, I'm considering trading Joe Montana. Would you be interested?
Yeah.
This absolutely.
What was this, 1986?
I don't remember. I
was like the year. I think it was before. Yeah, it was clearly before he won those last two Super Bowls.
Yeah. So he calls up Al, and and they were kind of friends.
He worked for Al. He was a position coach for the Raiders.
That's where he started. Yeah.
Yeah.
Defensive backs.
Yeah.
So he sends film of Joe. This is the great Joe Montana to Al, and remember, Al was always about the long pass.
Yes.
And Al called Bill and he said, I don't want him. He said, my wide receivers will outrun Joe's arm, but I'm interested in Steve. I know this. And Bill said, no way. And that is a true story.
He was the running backs coach for the Raiders in 1966. He was a DB coach for Stanford before that. Yeah, running backs. Okay. So they had a relationship. What about Steve? No way. What I loved about, I never met Bill, but it's so clear that he's one of the few offensive coaches who's really committed to figuring out the future of offense, because it's always evolving and the best guys are 2 steps ahead.
That's right.
And I still think that he figured out in the 80s that the next evolution of offense is the mobile quarterback, the guy who can get outside the pocket. He's impossible to stop. And he was also adamant that you had to be great from in the pocket too, of course. But he figured it out. He figured out 30 years ago where offense was going.
I think so. And, I believe, again, if he were alive today, he'd figure out where offense is going again.
Oh, no question. And I love people that you meet who are either involved in the game or used to be involved in the game who are thinking along those lines. Not like what has worked in the past and what's tried and true. Like, what's offense going to be like this year, next year? I love that conversation.
And Iggy, the one example of what's worked in the past, Gruden.
Yep.
That's Gruden.
That's right. Another thing that excites me about this team is I think it's really different than the team from 2019. The team in 2020 was exactly the same and nothing worked as well because everyone spent the offseason studying it because they went to the Super Bowl. Now you got Trey Lance in there handing off sometimes. It changes all the math, all the angles. It's really cool. They can win games throwing 10 times. They're going to do stuff that's really cool. Just having a diverse array of runs that people haven't seen before and can't stop. That's going to be fun to watch.
Right. And in that case, we want to praise Kyle because Kyle is almost in offense. He's a savant.
Yes. And I guess what he's saying is like, look, Trey Lance is really bad in the pocket right now from his perspective. So I can have him out there handing off, doing the zone read, doing play action stuff, getting outside the pocket. But there's going to be, half the snaps where I need a quarterback you can't roll him out every time. And so instead of having him struggle and learn on the job, I'll just bring in Jimmy, who's okay. And, as Trey improves in practice, I'll give him a little bit more. I guess that's fair. What do you think?
Well, that's what that was what when I was trying to sell you the used Buick, that's what I was arguing.
I mean, when you see Trey Lance throw those 10-yard passes 100 miles an hour, it's hard to justify giving him a full-time job. It's like, dude. It's like a pitcher who can't field his position or something. It's like, you really can't make the throw to first? Is that what you're saying? What are you going to do here, man? What are you going to do?
Hey, Iggy, yesterday you and Vish had this little thing about the wobble.
The wobble.
Could you explain to me what I have to say? I was watching it with your mom, and we were intrigued. What is the wobble?
Okay, so it's hard to see when he's throwing because he throws so hard. The ball is just a blur on the screen.
We're talking about Trey.
Yeah, Trey Lance. But when they slow it down in slow motion, you can see that it's not a perfect spiral. It comes out of his hands, and all of a sudden the tip will go up, and then it'll come down, and it's wobbling. And on top of the fact that it's probably as hard as any quarterback's throw in the league, it's very difficult to catch. So while these professional wide receivers should catch the ball if it's chest high, hitting them in both hands, this is going to be an issue for Trey Lance for a while. I mean, even Kaepernick threw a better spiral than that.
That is so interesting. And that's what I was watching it yesterday. And I thought, God, if you want to know about the Niners, if I want to know, I got to watch Iggy because I didn't know about the wobble. And all of a sudden, I'm taken with the wobble. This is phenomenal. So what he's saying is, not only is he throwing 100 miles an hour, but in addition, there's a wobble to it. So There are two things that make it hard to catch and hard to intercept.
Remember when I was 7 and you took me to interview Steve Young?
Yes.
What did I ask him about?
About his hand.
And throwing spirals.
Right?
Yes. And he said, look, it's easier for Joe because Joe has the biggest hands I've ever seen. Remember he said that? Joe has huge hands. It's very easy for him. I have smaller hands. And it's actually harder for me to throw spirals. So sometimes I'll throw a really nice spiral and I'll be proud of it and it'll get intercepted and I'm still happy. He said that, right?
He told us that, yeah.
And with Trey Lance, I mean, his hands are way bigger than mine, but they're 9 1/8 inches, which is, I think, slightly below average for a quarterback. I'm sure Joe Montana had like 10 plus inch behemoth hands. So this might be something that he deals with. I'm saying. Steve told me this when I was 7 years old. And if Steve said it.
You were sitting on my lap.
But Steve didn't throw this hard. Steve had touch.
Steve could throw hard. That pass he threw to Terrell Owens was.
He could throw hard, but he certainly had touch.
Oh God, did he have touch? Yeah,
he was extremely accurate. He completed like 70% of his throws. Anyway, not sure that Trey Lance is going to be the next Steve Young. We'll see.
But that wobble, Iggy, would you ever ask Kyle? Have you noticed the wobble?
Yes, I can ask him. He'll get defensive, but you can ask his offensive coordinator, Mike McDaniel, who's just as smart as Kyle, if not smarter, went to Yale, is the offensive coordinator, doesn't get defensive, isn't snotty. He's professional. So I could ask the same question for him, and he probably won't give a good answer, but at least he won't be snotty. So,
I have something to say about Yale.
Yeah.
I got rejected twice at Yale. As an undergraduate, I got rejected. And I applied for graduate school in the English department and got rejected at Yale. Now, my brother went to Yale. He went to Yale Medical School. But here's the thing. I got accepted at Stanford. Thank God.
Yeah.
I mean, Palo Alto as opposed to New Haven, Connecticut. West Coast, California as opposed to that.
Yeah.
So, good luck, Yale.
Yeah. I didn't get into Stanford or Yale. I didn't apply to Yale. Got into UCLA, though. Thank God. Okay, we only have 7 minutes left because the Niners are going to make their final cuts in a minute. So we're going to go through these comments.
Okay, and then I got stuff to do.
Yes, Chase says, Lowell, were any of these teams you covered full of clicks, like a pro Montana versus pro Young group? The team definitely seems like they're pro Jimmy Garoppolo. I would agree with Chase on that.
That's a good question. Let me say this. I do believe that on the old Niners, there were certainly people who were partial to Joe. As opposed to Steve. I would say there is no question about that.
No question.
And I know that one time, and I don't remember who told me this. It might have been Russ Francis. I don't even know if Russ was on the team with Steve, so it might not have been. Joe had to come out of a game, and Steve went in, and he got, on his knee in the huddle, and he said he took charge because he was Steve. This is
commanded the huddle.
I'm sorry?
Commanded the huddle.
Yes, he commanded the huddle. And I know that people in the huddle were pissed.
Yeah.
And I talked years later to Fred Von Oppen, who was on a lot of those Super Bowl teams as a coach and is actually one of my best friends now. And I said, what do you think of what happened? He said, oh boy, Lowell, I understand exactly how they felt, the other players. He said, Joe had spent years earning that respect, and Steve couldn't come in and expect to have it right away.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
That's how a football person thinks.
And I guess the way I feel is that the Niners players are giving Jimmy that respect. Kittle, Juszczyk, McGlinchey, Williams. He's not Joe Montana. At that point, Joe Montana had 2, 3, 4 Super Bowl rings, hadn't lost in a Super Bowl. I'm sorry. I understand that he's your friend and he's your age and you like him, but it's not the same. It's not the same. What has Jimmy earned, really?
I'm with you.
I'm sorry.
I'm with you. But, there's a certain,
you're right.
Like the Army, a kind of loyalty like the Army, and that's what they feel toward him.
No question. And there's also a thing with rookies, in the NFL. It's a very conservative league, and it's always the conservative choice to go with the vet. Phantom RWD says, do you think the failure to show off Trey's abilities during the preseason is Kyle's fault? He's the only one who could do it. He's the one who calls the plays. So
right.
Yes. 100%. Yes. Got a few more. Lowell, may you please elaborate on the importance of players willing and wanting to go to war for their coach? I feel Kyle is not of that caliber. I still think his players play very hard for him. That's the thing.
I agree with Iggy. It's a really good question. And players do go to war for their coaches, and sometimes they don't. I don't think they did for Tom Sula. I don't think they did for Chip Kelly. Iggy, would you agree?
No.
But they do for Kyle. There's a quality that Kyle has, which I'm not privy to, but I think they do go to war for him.
I agree. That's why I think he's got to be real careful with this quarterback thing. If he overrules the majority of the locker room, if the majority of the locker room wants Jimmy Garoppolo, now you lose it. And now maybe they don't play as hard for you if Trey Lance is struggling. So tough position to be in. Bigger bust, Pettis or Hurd? Pettis is a bust. I wouldn't call Hurd a bust yet, unless he's gone. So Pettis, hold on. It's always a Fraudopolo or Lance. Give me Iguodala. They want Iguodala as quarterback. I don't think so.
I'm going to say this. Of all the players on those championship teams of the Warriors, the one I found most unpleasant was Iguodala. Yeah. Now, that has nothing to do with his play, but I can't say I'm wild about him.
Thoughts on if the finger injury is worse than what they're saying? Cheers from Manhattan, former Sonoma County resident here. No idea, but it's fair to wonder.
Yes, I want to say that's a really, really good question. The team would never tell you. They won't even tell you which finger it is, and we know which finger it is. They certainly will not tell you the severity, and it's quite possible there's more to it, and it's quite possible there's not more to it. We're in the dark.
Yeah, there's no way to know. Chris says your stance on the 2-quarterback system is it's never worked before, and I do agree there. But if it has never happened, then it's bound to happen. Possible? Well, let's see if it happens. It's exciting.
Well, that's my position.
Yeah.
I've never seen it before, but I'm open-minded.
I think it could work. I mean, the Saints did it with some success. I just wonder if it's the best way to develop Trey Lance. That's a different issue. Love listening to you both. Keep it up. You keep it 100% real. Thank you.
Thank you.
John says thoughts on. We got you, man. We got you, John. Thanks again for the other donation. I think there's a couple more, and then we're done. Cap and Lance have the same hand size. Yeah, Cap do some good spirals. I don't know. Lance spent the offseason refining his mechanics, changing his delivery, and shortening it. Maybe the wobble is a result of that. Because when I watched his film from North Dakota State, I didn't see a wobble. There was no wobble that I detected. But there could have been, maybe if I had a wobble radar. JPZ901 says, remember how it was always said, a jump shooting team will never win an NBA championship, and then here comes the Golden State Warriors. Why not us? Yeah.
I love it, and I really feel that when you come to it, Trey Lance is a very good jump shooter.
Exactly. I like his three-point
shot. Better than Jimmy.
Yeah. Absolutely. And he can finish well around the rim. Titus says, Grant, would you consider asking Kyle what would say are the biggest differences between being a good coordinator and being a good head coach? I think his answer could be really interesting, revealing. Ooh, he wouldn't like that question. But yeah, that's a good question.
Ooh.
He would hate that question. Yeah.
Iggy, if you ask it, he'll hate you even more.
I'll ask it right after he loses a big game. How about that? Hey, Kyle, big picture question. Jimmy Jesus will bless us with Hail Marys. Whew.
Ooh.
Thank you, stupid monkey 121. What?
Can he throw a Hail Mary?
I don't think so. Wobble will go away in time. Trey's squeezing the ball too tight on his release, and his base gets wide. Once he gets comfortable, it should fix itself. Yeah, I didn't see it in college. That's it. We're done. That's our show.
Okay.
All right, Dad. I love you very much. I'm going to call you right now.
Edie. And you know what? I'm not going to call you after because I know you have to get ready for the cuts and stuff.
It's cut time.
Yeah, so I'm going to move on and we'll talk.
All right, Dad. I'll talk to you later. Thank you very much, everyone. See you next time.